G'day villains, today I want to talk about the UI in Game HUD as well as some stuff I worked on recently. This is often an aspect of games that's overlooked by developers, but I think this is a mistake because if the UI is the interface through which the player experiences your game, if your interface is shit, then everything going through it will be shit. Conversely, a good UI is memorable, charming, and immerses the player further into the game, helping you deliver on the game's purpose of making the player feel whatever it is you set out to do. When designing the UI for Dominion Master, I went through a lot of iterations. Some that I drew on the back of a napkin literally, and I'll probably still change the UI a few times based on the feedback I get. There's a couple of games that have a truly exceptional and memorable UI, such as Papers, Please, High Fleet, and Dead Space. All of these games have a UI that logically exists within the game itself. The term for this is diegetic. Other games with user interfaces that essentially break the fourth wall, remind you of the separation between yourself and the game. By definition, they reduce immersion. So originally, when I was making the UI for Dominion Master, it looked kind of like this. But I moved on from that version a long time ago, and when I started recording this video, it looks like this. Keep in mind that some of this is still placeholders, but whenever I make something for my game, whether it's a bit of UI or anything else, I always go and check with other people I know and friends of mine and ask them what they think.
I have an idea!
Because it's very important to get user feedback. And the feedback that I got is that the UI is a bit too cluttered. It's hard to see. Obviously there's problems with masking and seams, and the UI is also all over the place, and it's hard to keep an eye on the important things like your health and stamina. My game footer would spread out as well, so you have the health in one corner and stamina in the other, so if you got a big screen you can't see them both at the same time. So I changed it and cut it down significantly. It's still thematic, but it's no Dead Space or High Fleet. If you have other ideas of how I can make the UI better, let me know in the comments. The next thing I decided to fix was getting rid of those ugly buttons in the left. It seemed like they were a bit distracting, and they blended too much in the background. So I just moved them into the right-click context menu, and it follows whichever minion you're possessing. Oh yeah, did I mention you can possess any of your minions just like in Dungeon Keeper? You only need to sit down on a throne first, which in Dominion Master enables you to enter an RTS mode and move the camera around independently, and then you just select a minion and possess them. And when you're not possessing a minion, the buttons appear in the top header of the screen next to the resources. You can also use hotkeys to access them at any time. Speaking of resources, I decided to refurbish my resource icons. Originally I was using these realistic photographs, basically of objects representing the resources, and while I personally like that style, unless it's on a very large image it becomes very grainy and difficult to see what it is. So I did a bit of work and made all the icons more brain-rotty, easier to understand at a glance, of course. Another problem I have is that the book, which holds most of my UI, doesn't even cover the entire screen. Not to mention the background color of the book clashes quite a bit with the rest of the color scheme of gritty and earthy tones. My original idea was to make the book not cover the entire screen deliberately, to leave the game visibly running in the background so that the player can see the time is still ticking. But it's very annoying that it blocks you from seeing what's going on. Now I moved it and this looks much nicer. It's basically exactly what Diablo and Path of Exile did, although the movement is a little bit disorientating, and your character is locked while you're checking out the book. Lastly, a little bonus. I found it irritating and immersion breaking that when you start the game, your character just appears in the middle of nowhere. This isn't really meant to be a campsite and tree chopping survival game, so I thought it'd be cool to make you start the game by falling from the sky in the meteor. Later on, I'll probably add more intros and tie those into some kind of background origin options to help you define your Dominion Master. If you made it this far, thank you for your attention. Like and subscribe this video to support the project, and I'll see you in the next video.